And welcome, Dr. Ann Donnelly, my very good friend and colleague, one of my favorite people. We managed to
Oh.
get you out of the hospital into the studio to interview you. So thank you for making time for this interview today.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It's a pure delight to be able to chat to you. Thank you.
Oh, good. So as people know, I've been doing these interviews. I'm really wanting to really share the expertise of all of these amazing people that are around me. We are going through, unprecedented times, which I think is the new word of 2020. There's lots of different things going on. Children are going back to school next week. Some children have already gone back in Scotland, and we've got people going back to work. We've got people still on furlough. We've got people that are still maybe shielding. Some people are not shielding. We've got all sorts of different things going on in our communities. And I thought it would be amazing just to talk to you, Anne, as a GP, medical doctor, and also as a holistic guide and practitioner in the Mystery School. You have both, both sides of the coin, if you like, and it would be really great to get some of your insights. But first of all, I wonder if you could just do an intro to yourself and just let people know exactly about your background and how you came about to be where you are right now.
Great, Kate. Thank you so much. Well, I qualified as a GP in 1996, so it's quite a while ago. And at that time, I remember feeling a little bit, gosh, this is fantastic. I mean, I loved my work, I loved my job, but I really felt that very often I maybe wasn't getting to the very core issues that people were coming to me with. I had only 7.5 minutes per patient. It was a very stressful job. You know, you were seeing multiple patients in a surgery per day. And so I went exploring, first of all, mostly to support myself in my work. The first route I went down, I'd heard a little bit about yoga, and I decided that I would go along to a class and see what this was all about. And at the time, I have a very inquisitive mind. I asked so many questions. You know, my yoga teacher got a little peeved, and she says, "Anne, just go to become a yoga teacher, and you'll be fine. You'll get all your answers there." So I did, and that started my exploration. Because in those days, I realized the connection between physical health, breathing, and mind, what's going on in our mind, and how the mind can affect so much of, you know, your experience of what's going on around you, and how it can actually color your experience of other people. It could it covered the experience of that I had in a surgery during a day, the interactions that I had with people, depending on what was going on inside me at the time. So I realized that I had a big responsibility in, making sure inside me was good so that I could reflect that outward and affect everything around me. It was interesting because I started to look at Eastern philosophies of medical management. I studied acupuncture and homeopathy, neurolinguistic programming, emotional freedom therapy, all of these different holistic therapies. And at the time, I was exploring things like how life force behaves within the body, how a knowledge of that can give us a greater sense of energy and vitality in the day. And I was also studying things like energy and how it moves through the body. And it wasn't until 2006, so 10 years later, stepped into a meditation class run by the Modern Mystery School at that time. And boy, oh boy, did it change my whole concept of health, well-being, our responsibility as individuals, and actually add to our own health and well-being. And we're talking about immunity these days. You know, we can do so much. You know, we keep thinking that COVID is this wave that's crossing, and that, you know, that people are not powerless. You know, they have power as well to manage their own lifestyles. And I think if COVID is actually teaching us at the moment, is that we need to look at our style. We need to look at the way that we are are choosing to run and lead our lives, including our physical well-being, what goes on in our mind day to day, you'll notice that there have been so many scary stories running around, both on the internet, in the media in general, about COVID, about the ways in which it can affect not only our vulnerable population, but now with children going back to school, there are ways of managing this. This is where my passions lie, is in helping people understand their own level of empowerment when it comes to their own health in particular. And so maybe a little bit about that as well.
Yes, I love that, Anne. I love the way that you have brought that back around to, as a GP, as someone that regular everyday people come to you for help, and they come for you for advice about what's going on in their physical body. And it's interesting that you as a GP have realized that it comes from inside of you, and you needed to make the changes within yourself for to have this this whole health working at an optimum level. So that's really fascinating to me. So we're talking about COVID, you're talking about COVID right now, and people, how they may feel powerless because it's a virus, because they don't know if it's going to, if they're going to have, the effects of it. Oh, Anne, have we lost you? Have we lost you, Anne? Not sure if we've lost you. Maybe it's just my end. Oh, here you go. You're back. You're back, Anne.
There we are.
There we are.
Back again. Sorry, I thought I'd lost you there.
So
repeat maybe what your question was there. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Could you give us some kind of indication how we can take responsibility for our own health, and in doing so minimize the potential of getting sick?
Okay. So I hope you can hear me, Kate, because I can just hear certain phrases at the moment. So, but my understanding is we lower our chances of getting COVID. Am I correct?
Yes, Anne, thank you.
Okay. So from that perspective, I can improve our immunity fourfold. Pieces that I would really to everyone out there. And number one is exercise. We need to move our bodies. This doesn't mean just, necessarily a walk, something that gets your heart rate up. Our hearts need to be strong. We need to get our breathing moving. And even if you find that for some reason you are finding it difficult to move body, perhaps you have a disability of some kind that prevents you from moving in certain, I would say breath work is really, the more that you move your lungs, deep breathing. There is a wonderful yogic breath called the complete yogic breath that really opens up the airways in the lower lungs. And this is where if we tend to, most when we are exercising, lower areas in the lungs. And if we are not vigorously regularly, then accumulated in this, you're using the complete yogic breath, you're clearing all of that. You're opening up these air sacs regularly. So even looking up the complete yogic breath online, or I have a little blog on it on my website, which will take you through that. It's using those muscles in your abdomen to really open up the lower airways. One is exercise as regularly as you can. Number two is nutrition. If you think about what we put in our bodies, if I have to mention those things I saw, when we started our restaurants again, were the huge queues, And that's fine, you know, as to take a minimize that, you know, as much as possible.
We've lost Anne again. Anne, you're back?
So I've got full signal here. I'm not sure what's causing it. Sorry, but can you still hear me? Okay.
We can.
Good. So from a nutritional point of view, fresh as possible. We want as great a variety as possible. That vitamin C and vitamin D are particularly important when it comes to avoiding COVID. So to supplement is a good idea. I'm not going to say a blank amount for each person, because your own, this is where discernment for comes into this. You know, nutrition, if you feel that you need professional advice personally, but also you know, begin to discern for yourself what you feel is important. For example, I find, you know, the patients, when they are particularly sick, they're able to take much higher doses of vitamin C than they would they're trying to prevent. But it's very individual, you know, for yourself as well. And then, of course, you know, we have this concept of rest and the concept of sleep. So good quality sleep, good quality rest is important as well when it's boosting the immune system. It varies from person to person. You know, some people need, you know, 8 hours sleep a night, shorter amounts of sleep, but whatever is good for you and whatever you feel rest with, and where your mind is, and you're, you know, you're not needing to take a whole lot of naps during the day, making sure that, you know, your sleep pattern sustains your life pattern, whatever that is important for you. And then, of course, we have the idea of stress management. And no matter what walk of life these days, unfortunately, that we're living with, like COVID-19, we're thinking about, you know, perhaps our loved ones. We're concerned for, you know, the people who are at home. We're trying to protect, to, you know, get back to some form of normality, and we want to try and minimize our stress. And Yadiksha did a beautiful talk yesterday, and we're going to be running our stress rescue next week, Kate, here in the Mystery School. I have had stress rescue class in particular. It gives key information to help us understand the ways in which body, how it system, how it affects the hormone, you know, adrenal glands, how that stress cycle actually lasts for quite a while in the body. So even though, excuse me, we think that we are over whatever stress it was, the fact is that we carry that stress for much longer, and it affects our physical body for much longer. And so chronic stress, you know, is one of chronic disease, you know, in our society. And we're totally unaware of that. And there are so many ways in which we can combat that. So I'm really excited. And I think it's perfect time, especially as children are going back to school, you know, as society is becoming more active again. We're trying to protect each other, responsible, and we're maybe don't always have the answers to every question, you know, that we want. So we are living with a certain degree of uncertainty, and that is stressful in itself.
It is, Anne. I love the way that, you know, you've kept it simple, and everybody can, well, most people can do some form of exercise. Most people can breathe. Most people can look at what they're eating. These are all things that we can, manage. And as you said, we are offering stress relief package online for free over the next 6 weeks. So again, it's something that's accessible to everybody. So I love
so that. Amazing.
Yeah, I really like that you bring it back down to us now. And so in the medical community, how effective do you, from a medical perspective, how effective do you think that meditation and stress relief challenge?
Kate, I couldn't hear that question. I'm so sorry. It was a little broken there. Is there any way that maybe we could type it?
Yeah. So could you tell us from a medical perspective, how effective meditation and holistic practices are?
How effective is, I'm so sorry.
How effective holistic practices and such as meditation are?
Oh, and yes, in terms of helping to combat stress. Oh my God! But this is where we started the conversation, Kate. We find that when I started to manage what was going on in my mind, life changes completely. I mean, it's like if we're able to keep the mind quieter. Now, I'm going to give an example of this, but say something us, in a moment. The first thing that happens is the chitter chatter. So our mind goes into that little mouse in a wheel effect, internally, to just even start to observe this, even that constant to realize, that our thoughts aren't always, us. They're not always, coming from us. It's like this. It's like a little, processor, like in the back of the computer that's time, and it's like it's nearly a constant entertainment. But the thing is, it's entertaining. Sometimes we have these stressful little sideshows that are going on inside our mind, and we're trying to relate to that. Whereas if we give that a break with meditation, that is what meditation, it's learning to allow the mind to have a rest. I see it as like a holiday. I mean, did in different ways. Some of us, when we see everything as it's in technicolor, so that's a very visual person. For they're hearing, the sound of the waves in the background, and that's giving them a full body sensation. Perhaps there's that sense of, that feeling in the body where you feel maybe in your, or maybe like that you get in your arms, or maybe you're feeling it in your tummy. But meditation will give you an opportunity to experience not only your mind in a different way, but your physical body in a different way. Max meditation system, the system that we tend to teach, takes all of that into consideration. There's a huge piece in the beginning, about truly relaxing the body. And it's really quite blissful, because when do we ever give our body complete relax? It's say to me, with regards, max meditation, that is as relaxed as I've ever felt after that first, 10 to 15 minutes, where you're really giving your body that opportunity to soft. And, it's really like, should I say, getting the asking the body to relax, because our mind is sending signals to our body all the time. And you can imagine that if the story that we're revealing to ourselves in our mind, either a worry story or something else, that's speaking to our bodies as well. So we want bodies to hear pleasant things, And if that is the case, then we can use meditation specifically to allow that. Other parts of the meditation include Zen focus as well, on emptying the mind, on a visualization as well. It's so soothing, and I mean every part of the being. And so we know that our stress reaction, the number one piece in that is, our heart rate goes up, our respiratory rate goes up. That's how our breathing rate goes up, and the pressure goes up. But one thing you have control over as a human being is your breathing, and if you slow that down, it automatically sends this wonderful signal to your adrenal, everything isn't falling apart. It's okay. You can relax a little bit more. You have to keep pushing out those, goes down, the pressure. And, with meditation, I mean, there's some wonderful research out there already with meditation and how it can affect. I had personally, of having clients come to me with the meditation class. I had a lovely lady who was just about to be diagnosed with high blood pressure, and she came the evening that she had her 24-hour tape on, and she was obviously still having her blood pressure at the meditation class. But I said to her, she rang me out, and how am I going to avoid, having to start on medication? And I said, come to my come to the next one. Her tape, she happened to have her tape on, and her reads were amazing. And actually, to avoid, she came regularly to the meditation classes and managed to avoid taking, blood pressure tablets, which was amazing. So yes, I have anecdotal evidence, but there is also really good evidence to suggest that meditation has longer term effects on the individual. But not only that, we have evidence to suggest that if you have large numbers of people who meditate together, and this has been tried out in cities of conflict, and the conflict run down when you have large numbers of people meditating together. So this evidence is irrefutable. And to me, that says a lot. It says a lot about us as individuals. As individuals, we do have this saying in the Mystery School, as above, so below, as within, so individuals. If we can create peace internally, if we can ease stress internally, we can have an incredible effect on not only the pupils we have in our classroom, if you're a teacher, if or anyone working in the medical and nursing profession, the effect that you're going to have for your patients. If you're in any form of leadership, community, this is so important in your business and everything around you. Try it and see. I'm a believer, don't take my word for it. Give it a go. There's no harm in giving it a go and just see what the effects are.
Yeah, I love that, Anne. It's definitely by experience that we get to learn, don't we? It's like, we can say it as much as we want. Yes, this is amazing, this is amazing. But in the Mystery School, it's always like, no, well, you try it, you experience it, you put it into practice. And then, of course, then you can tell by the fruits of your the fruits in your life, whether or not it's working or not. And only truly then do we know. And that's what I've always loved about walking on this path is, okay, don't take our word for it. You just do it. And as I've done it, I've sure enough seen the fruits. So, of course, I'm a big believer, in taking responsibility for our own health and well-being is going to have that knock-on effect throughout the world. And could you tell us how to get in touch with you? Because I know that you do take on personal clients to come in for your healing sessions. You do consultations and such like. I know you're very busy in the hospital right now with everything that's going on, but I do know that you are taking some, you will have some space, I hope, for some people, because I know people will, really benefit from coming to see you. How can we get in touch with you, Anne?
Kate, it is one of my greatest joy in life to do healing work, especially the healing work, that I have been trained with, in the Mystery School. Because this is one of the, when I was a person that would come, I felt it was like such a precious moment in time to meet this other individual, who's on a journey of life. And, they came to me with their vulnerability, whatever that is in that given moment. And I only gave that 7.5 minutes, everything that I could, because I might never see them again. And, it's that connection with people, because I remember, as a medical student, for the first 3 years, when I did medicine way back then, it was taught very, very differently. You meeting patients until your third year. Third year, I met a patient, bless him, and terminal condition. And in that moment, I realized, my heart blew open. And I realized, oh my God, this is why I'm here. This is why I've had the head in the books for the last 3 years. It is, and a lot of our work in the Mystery School is about helping someone else to remember who and what they really, really are. Because, the truth is that no one really heals anybody else. It's they open up that potential for the person to heal themselves. And this is what I love about this. So, yes, people often, and I find in particular at the moment, when people, they are quite distressed at the moment, there's a lot of heaviness there, and so people are needing that reassurance, that they're not, losing it, that it is okay, and that when they start to learn how to manage energy, they can manage any situation, and this is where my joy is, in helping other people to realize for themselves that they can manage these things for themselves as well. And that's why I teach classes as well. And interestingly, I'm going to be taking sacred geometry out, Kate, around Ireland. I'm doing a little tour, one of my tours. I'm driving around in my Mini. I'm starting in Derry. I'm going to Dublin, to Cork, and then I'm ending up in Galway. And I'm teaching sacred geometry all in the first weekend of September. And the reason, I'm so passionate is that I noticed during of the parents, the schooling at home, it was a really stressful situation. And the teachers who were on the other side, of the web as well, they were stressed as well. So my concept is, if people can start using sacred geometry, and I know I've had amazing reports on the way that children, feel more comfortable, more relaxed. They treat each other differently when there's sacred geometry in a room. The dynamics within a home, in an office, within a classroom are so different. very simple, yet lives, you know, coming from the lineage of King Solomon. These tools, and they can use them in their everyday. I use them, you know, to over before I eat it. Do you know, I use them over an email before I send it, you know, so that in the highest vibration, you know, whatever way that they can, when they receive it, they're able to this is something that can be used forevermore. Amen. Even if one person goes to one class, they can use these tools. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So I'd like to. I'm going to be follow up Zoom sessions with everyone after they've been to the class, and I also want them to questions and, you know, to see where they can use this. So excited. I'm excited.
So we'll put those details in the comment box, Anne. So we'll make sure that everybody can get those details. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us. I know the internet connection was a little bit rocky, so hopefully everybody heard everything, and it wasn't too broken. So I'm crossing fingers for that. If not, we'll get Dr. Ann back on for part 2. So don't worry, we will get her back on for more goodies. So lots of love. Thank you,
That's
Dr.
fantastic.
And thank you, and goodbye, everybody. We'll put all the details in the comment box for you. Take care.
Thank you.